that he had put her head on a shelf and screamed at it for an hour, threw darts at it, and ultimately smashed her face in. He also cut her tongue out and her larynx and put them in a garbage disposal.
Tell me in a sentence who you are.
I'm nobody. I'm a bum. I'm a boxcar and a jug of wine. And a straight razor if you get too close to me.
Do you ever feel violent?
Yes, I do.
What do you feel like doing?
Killing people.
You still feel like killing people?
Yes.
Describe the feeling that you get when you feel like killing people.
Well, last March 11th, I was hallucinating, and I took a razor blade and I cut a man's throat.
Here in the hospital?
Here in the hospital.
Do you think you'd murder me, Joe?
Yes.
That's gruesome, Joe. That's horrible.
Yes, it is.
You don't blame me if I say I hope you never get out of this place.
I hope I never do either.
Welcome. Good evening, all you murder podcast show fans. Hello, welcome in, Unsafe David. Welcome in, everybody, to another fantastic Saturday evening here. I've got another camera shot that I'm trying here now on me, trying to play around with it. Switching it up a little bit. I am your host, Tim. Also, they call me, I am the Architect. That's right, they call me the Architect. And alongside of me, as you see, is no co-host and no director of our social media platforms. Criminology Chris and Classroom Jackie are on vacation, so they are going to be out for the next 2 Saturdays. So, I'm sorry, but you guys are stuck with me. That's okay, though. We've done it before, and we'll do it again. We'll get through it. First and foremost, let me hit our sponsor here. We have Crafty Corner by Laura. Laura makes a wide selection of handmade crochet plushies, both cute and creepy, animals, pop culture, fantasy, anime, and horror. They also specialize in custom orders like the voodoo doll that is out in front of my monitor there. You can follow them on Instagram at the.crafty.corner.by.Laura. That's right, as I always say, there are 3 dots in there. You got to figure out where the hell they go on your own. I'm not here to help you with that. Social media, we don't have a 1 minute of murder tonight or next week, but I do know that the platforms are growing still tremendously, especially after last week's interview that we had. Christine Russo, talking about the Netflix The Crash. And numbers grew big time on the streaming platforms. That one alone by itself, that episode from last week, is already at like almost 300 streams. So, and just submitted us to Pandora and on Sirius XM radio as well, and those just got approved recently, today, actually. So look for it to be on Pandora and on Sirius XM radio, our channel here as well, which is fantastic. It's great. David, Laura was at the Canton Pickle Fest today and sold out. That's awesome. That is Crafty Corner, Laura. She's the one that has made a lot of these plushies, actually all of them here in the studio. We had some more. There's a dead possum. You can't see it. And then there's there's one that is alive, and then voodoo doll up there too as well. So tonight I wanted to switch things up a little bit. my girlfriend had brought another amazing story and case to us here tonight. This one is a cult story. So a little bit different, but it's still really, really twisted, really messed up. This is, give me a minute here. This is Mother God, was what her, following or people called her. This story is wild, so just prepare yourself for this one here. So I will go ahead and jump on in here. On April 21st, 2021, a man, Miguel Lamboy was his name, walked into, I think it's Sagichi or something, I don't know, County Sheriff's Department, Colorado, with a story that sounded less like a police report and more like a fever dream. So he walked in and he told deputies that a group of people had arrived at his house in the small spiritual enclave of Crestone. They were part of a group he belonged to, and they had brought someone with them, or rather, something. So when deputies arrived at the residence later that night, they stepped into a scene that, defied... It was a mess. In the back bedroom, laid out on the bed, and I have some pictures I will show you guys here too. Sleeping like a queen was a heavily decomposed, mummified corpse. That's right. But it wasn't just left there. The body had been meticulously cared for. It was wrapped tightly in a sleeping bag. Its face elaborately painted with glittery makeup. The eyes were completely gone. The skin had turned a, distinct, eerie shade of grayish blue, and arranged carefully all around the body, framing it like a makeshift shrine, were strings of twinkling Christmas fairy lights. Give me a second here, and I am going to bring up the picture of what she looked like, what this looked like. Because I kid you not, give me 1 second here. My monitor is not wanting to play nice currently at the moment. There we go. All right, I'm going to hit this over onto your guys' screen here. So this is what investigators walked into in the back of this room. Yeah, they were doing way too much. So that was what they walked into. Amy Carlson was her name, Mother God, as they called her, and that is how they had her laid out in the back room. Mummified corpse, had been there for a very long time. And yeah, as you can tell, like they said, twinkling Christmas lights. So that puts a whole new meaning on, decorating the tree, I guess. Yeah, unsafe. They were definitely doing way too much there. But anyways, moving on. But it wasn't just left there. Oh, wait. Sorry. There's no horn tonight, so I don't have to worry. The people in the house weren't mourning. They weren't panicking. They weren't celebrating, because to them, this wasn't a dead body. This was Mother God. And she hadn't died. She had successfully ascended to the 5th dimension to save humanity. That's right. So, oh man. give me a second here. This thing is taking me all over the place. So the daily operations in the house, they had daily things that they had to do, and it was wild. Give me 1 second here because I don't know what my script is doing. So, born in Kansas in 1975, Amy was a straight A student, but had a fractured childhood due to her parents' divorce. By 2000, she's living in Texas, Houston. She's a mother of 3 children, each with a different father, working long hours as a manager at McDonald's. So she isn't a shadowy lifetime criminal. She's an overworked, burnt-out mother dealing with the crushing weight of the 3D world. Bills, capitalism, childcare. Amy discovers online message boards, specifically a site called lightworkers.org. She falls deep down a rabbit hole of ascension theories, starseeds, and fringe spirituality. In 2007, the breaking point hits. Amy leaves her job, her third husband, and her 3 young kids. She literally walks away from her life overnight, telling her family a voice told her she was destined for something massive. So, imagine your mom just vanishes into the World Wide Web, everything's going great, and then all of a sudden one day she discovers this message board and boom, your mom is gone, diving deep into this stuff. She moves to Colorado to meet a man she connected with online, named Amerith White Eagle. The names on these. He's the one who first tells her she is divine. Together they form the Galactic Federation of Light. Eventually, Amy splits from him, realizing she is the absolute center of power. She takes the title Mother God and starts cycling through a series of male partners whom she dubs Father God. So this whole thing, there's an documentary actually on HBO about this, and it's called Love Has Won. They actually believed, because it is a wild cocktail of everything online, Amy claimed she was the 534th incarnation of Mother God. She claimed she remembered being Jesus Christ on the cross, Joan of Arc, and Marilyn Monroe. Now, if you can take all that in, there's a whole level of thinking and a whole level of believing shit to a whole new level with, Mother God here. Amy claimed she was in constant telepathic communication with a etheric team of dead celebrities. Okay? And who was the leader of this, council? Williams. Robin, Williams. Along with John Lennon, Michael Jackson, and Patrick Swayze. They allegedly helped her navigate spiritual warfare and plan the ascension of exactly 144,000 chosen souls into the 5th dimension. So, this whole... She's got her whole online, culture, seamlessly blending New Age crystals, conspiracy theories, and deep anti-government paranoia. Sorry. So, this was their this is the love has won theology, okay? 3D world, matrix, bills, jobs, taxes controlled. The 5th D plane, which is the goal, this is what they want, the goal to come of this, absolute love, higher vibration, reached via devotion to her, Amy. Galactic guide, Robin Williams, he's the leader of the Spirit Council. So they founded their entire operation by selling wellness products, okay, like silver and live streaming on, YouTube, hence where we are now. That's not what I'm trying to do here too as well. They would go live on there for hours every single day. So their vibes of these live streams that they would do, attractive, young, but visibly exhausted millennials sitting on a couch, staring at a camera, demanding donations and praising mother. Okay. Ex-members reported severe sleep deprivation, only 2 to 4 hours of sleep that they were allowed to do or get every day. Labor was forced, psychological and intense gaslighting. If you were sick or tired, Amy told you it was because your, ego or whatnot was attacking her on your vibration was too low. So around 2020, things take a terrifying dark turn. The woman who claimed she would cure cancer with the power of love starts getting profoundly, visibly sick. The live streams become a public archive of a human being dying in real time. Amy develops severe anorexia. She becomes paralyzed from the waist down, but most destructively, she is drinking massive amounts of alcohol. Vodka was her main choice, and self-medicating by consuming massive doses of silver, a supplement she claimed would keep her pure, but which actually poisons the body and turns the skin a ghostly blue-gray color. Which, I did not realize that. I don't know nothing about, silver and if you consume it. That's just wild. I mean, put yourself in these, followers that she had in their shoes being in this house. You're supposedly working for this, Mother God. You're not sleeping much. You're deprived of that. You're working a ton. And she's just drinking vodka and she's consuming silver. And you're probably slowly watching her body turn this ghostly blue-gray, color. In my mind, I couldn't even imagine. I'd be like, what in the hell is going on here? But followers, they probably didn't see it that way because they were a part of her cult and they were believing what she was spewing out to them. August of 2020, Amy is heavily deteriorating. The cult rents a house in Hawaii. Amy claims she has come there to rest, but she proclaims herself to be the Hawaiian Didi Pele. Some of these words, I'm not perfect at pronouncing them, so that's just the way that is. Local residents are furious at the, culture appropriation and the fact that a cult has arrived pretty much in their town. I mean, which I don't blame them. Protests were going on. Hundreds of locals would surround the house, chanting and demanding that they leave. The situation becomes so volatile that the police have to escort Love Has Won out of there, Hawaii, period, under protective custody. They flee back to the mainland, desperate and completely unmoored. So by 2021, The group is traveling in an RV through the desert. The father god, Jason Castillo, is now heavily running the day-to-day, chores and everything that's going on. He's pretty much running the cult. Amy at this point is completely bedridden, blind, down to roughly 80 pounds, and her skin is blue. She is in immense physical pain. So why didn't they call, for help? This is the most, frustrating part of the whole story. Because of their own echo chamber, they believed her physical pain wasn't bad, They believed she was taking on the collective sins and cancer of humanity to clear the planet's karma. If they took her to a 3D hospital, so remember a little bit back, we were saying those were things that fell under that whole category of the 3D, bills, taxes, and different things like that. They would be interfering with her divine, going up, wherever she was going, heaven or whatever she had believed. Amy Carlson passes away around, April 2021. California is where she ended up dying at. And instead of reporting her death, Jason Castillo and a core group of followers put her body into the back of their vehicle. They drove her corpse across the state lines all the way from California back to Miguel Lamboy's house, Colorado. They went on a multi-day road trip with a decomposing body. I can't even imagine. My God, the smell. The smell after days of that traveling. That's just nuts. Eventually I'd be like, okay, we gotta stop, open up the door, and we gotta kick this broad into a field or something here. I can't drive around with her in a vehicle like this. Once in Creston, that's where they set up the shrine. We talked about that in the beginning. They apply the glitter, string up the fairy lights, as they like to call them, and wait for a starship to come pick her up. As if the story wasn't already twisted and messed up, now we're waiting for the starship to come get her. So picture this. We have, Mother God, Amy, set up as a shrine in the back of this, bedroom in this house, twinkling fairy lights, glitter on her face. You saw her face in that one picture that I showed, grayish blue, and it's just a mess. And everybody's just going about doing their usual chores and activities and everything that they do around the house while still not getting a lot of sleep, and they're waiting for the starship to come pick, Mother God up. I take it they were probably waiting for a while for that starship. So police raid the house April 28, 2021. 7 core members, including Jason, were arrested and charged with abuse of a corpse and child, abuse, as 2 children were found on the property. David Silver, toxicities. One of the effects of the silver poisoning is neurological damage. She was consuming silver for a long time. Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking too, that it would be a slow process, that, like I said, I don't know much about consuming silver, but I can only, imagine that it would be a slow, painful process. All charges were ultimately dropped because the coroner could not definitively prove where, Amy died due to her body being moved across state lines. Prosecutors felt they couldn't securely actually convict her on specific, charges. Autopsy cited natural causes stemming from, alcohol, her big weight loss, and, poisoning, silver. After her death, the group split. Some members realized they were deceived. Others, doubled down. They were trying to rebrand as the 5D Disclosure and continuing to claim Amy is guiding them from outer space. So the starship never came and got her, but apparently she's in outer space and she is guiding them. Sounds like it could happen, So the story of her is a modern American tragedy draped in neon lights and internet buzzwords. It's easy to look at the fairy lights, the blue skin, and the telepathic chats with, don't forget, Robin Williams, and just, dismiss as a whole, lunacy thing. But underneath the bizarre theology was a very real human breakdown. Her followers were so blinded by their desperate need and their desperate need for her to be God that they entirely ignored her. They watched a woman starve and poison herself to death, and instead of getting her to a doctor, they set up a camera to live stream it. So now, to add to it, you have all of that going on, right? A shrine in the back room. They're waiting for the starship to get her. She's now guiding them from outer space. And what do they do while they have her set up back there, her corpse dead for a long time, as they've, moved her across state lines for days on end, and now they're live streaming the whole thing online. People get flagged and dinged for all sorts of stuff online when they live stream. I want to know how the hell they weren't getting flagged for that. Nobody was reporting this. I mean, you're watching this live stream and you're staring at a dead body in a bed with twinkling lights and glitter on her face. And nobody's reporting it. Everybody's just like, wow, cool, let's watch this live stream. This is great. It's like, holy shit, man. So it's a reminder of what happens when, isolation of our whole digital world meets our deep, desire. Which is true, We all know, compared to when, I'm sure a lot of our fans are probably around our age, if not more, and you guys all can remember back in the day when we didn't have to rely on all this stuff like we do now, with smartphones and, being online. We're connected 24/7, and a lot of the young, generation today, they don't, realize that things were much different back then. I personally think a lot of things were, better back then. Kids, we all played outside, and it's a long, running joke, but it's true. We played until the streetlights came on at night. I know I sure as hell did. Any day it was nice out, my friends and I were outside playing, summer break off of school, we were outside playing every day. Tag and kick the can and all that stuff. But now, today's society, everybody's gaming, everybody's streaming, everything is online now, Dial-up. I bet if you mention dial-up to kids these days, they're going to look at you with this blank deer in lights look like, what are you talking about, dial-up? Because it's true. Nobody had to deal with, well, hey, mom or dad, I'm going to get online, and then your parents couldn't get a phone call during that, and then your mom's yelling from in the kitchen, hey, I'm expecting a phone call, get offline. And you're like, crap, I got to get offline now. Everything moves so slow, too. Kids these days, they would not last, with it. I joke with my son about it, and he just kind of looks at me like, that would suck, Dad. I'm like, yeah, but you went outside and played. You played in the dirt. Yeah, exactly. Unsafe. Exactly. Facts. Yep, David played outside, drank from the water hose, and you lived. Yeah, you got germs on you, because germs would help build up, immune system. would make you stronger. At least that's what our parents used to say all the time to us. So Amy wanted to escape the crushing reality of the 3D world. In the end, reality caught up with her in one of the most tragic ways possible. Here she is, she's living in her own fairy tale, as I see it as, thinking that she's doing all these things right and she's avoiding the whole 3D world, hospitals, taxes, and bills, and all that stuff. But realistically, she's just declining her health and she's speeding up her death, starving herself. It's like, holy cow, 80 pounds for somebody her age and her size. That's not healthy. You're not going to live long. As you can tell with her, you're not going to live long like that. I don't know about all of you guys, but I like food. I like to eat, and if I don't eat, I get pissy. So how that woman was not getting pissy and how followers in her home were not getting pissy, oh my God, I would have been in there and I would have walked up to her and been like, listen, if we don't get something to eat now, I'm fixing to kick some ass in here. These people must have had stomachs of steel or some shit. So yeah, this whole thing is, it's a wild story. Got a couple other things here. So she had her whole online cult, Love Is One, and like I said, HBO has a good documentary on it. Check it out if you guys do subscribe to that, app. Check it out. Love Has Won. So, internet age at that time, it created literally a completely new kind of cult. One that didn't hide in a compound in the woods, but broadcasted their lives, like I said, 24/7. YouTube and all different live stream platforms. I don't remember all of what the live streaming platforms that we had at that time. YouTube, I know we've had for a long time, but at that time we didn't have like TikTok and all that kind of stuff. Facebook wasn't even really a thing yet at that time. Hell, I think we were still going off of MySpace, which you got to have your top 5 friends in there, or top 8. I forget, it's been so damn long now, but so yeah, this whole thing is just wild. I wanted to touch on this tonight because I want to cover some different cult stuff. There's a lot of different cults out there, and it's really crazy to kind of dive into them a little bit. There's only so much on this particular one, but I like to dive into it because you look at where we are now and how we do things in our everyday lives, and then you try to put yourself in these people's minds, and I laugh and I joke about it, but really put yourself in their shoes, in their mind, and they really believed that this stuff was real. They honestly thought, like, hey, Mother God, this is her. She's gone up. She's met Jesus. Robin, is helping lead this whole thing. Michael Jackson, all this different stuff. And I can only imagine what those, actors, actresses and stuff, what they were thinking when their names were being used in this. God, I can only, imagine, because, Michael Jackson was still around then. Robin Williams was still around then too as well. And I can only imagine what they were probably thinking, because I'm sure they heard about all this going on. And to have your name put out there in this whole thing, God, I could see it now and be like, what? I'm not taking part in this thing at all. What the hell is this? So yeah, so she went from this middle-class mom who was managing McDonald's, which man, I can only fathom what kind of rap that put on McDonald's at that time, you know? What kind of managers are you bringing on board? Of course, at that time, they didn't know and she wasn't doing it yet. It's all because she got on that whole message board thing. And I remember at one point when a lot of those message boards were big. I forget exactly what they called them at that time, but they had those where you could go on there and you could post. It was like a big message board, you know, following, and you could post every day things you were doing, things you believed in. If one of you guys in the chat, you know, remember what they were called, I forget exactly what they called them. I never got into it. I knew of them, of those message boards, but I never posted. I never created one. I never posted stuff to it. My life was pretty boring, so what am I going to post to it? You know, I woke up, I ate breakfast, I went to the, you know, bathroom, I brushed my teeth, I went outside and rode my bike and played with my friends. They'd be like, yeah, this is pretty boring, man. So I didn't end up finding some group like, you know, Mother God did and creating this whole thing. But this seriously was one of the most bizarre, you know, tragedies in true crime history, literally. And you think about it, that you think it's like, well, is it really true crime? But in a way, so there's nobody murdered. She died, you know, natural causes. Well, technically, but she brought it upon herself. But this is still true crime in its own way. David, it seems hard to believe that people want to find a supreme being to take them away from all regular problems of life. Yeah, it's true. There are many cults out there. There's still cults, I'm sure, that are going on to this day. A lot of them, I'm sure, if you really researched online, you could probably dive into a lot of them. I personally don't want that in my search history online. Of course, now, doing the show, if they ever check my search, you know, history now, they're going to be like, dude, you know, murder and true crime, you sure look a lot of that shit up. But I have my proof. I'd be like, listen, I got a show. It's all fine. It's all fine. I'm not looking up how to hide a body or any of that type of stuff. But it really, this whole thing is really wild. And let me see. I've got another picture here. I'll bring this up to you guys. This is another picture of what the room had looked like. Okay. Oh, this technology is great. Okay, so let me bring up another picture here for you guys in the live stream. This is another picture of... Sorry, I zoomed in too much there and backed out. This is another picture of kind of above her bed, on how they had lights not only on her, but they had lights everywhere in that room. On the headboard, all above, all around the room you can see there. And it's like, oh my God. Now imagine being police and this guy, like we said first off, this guy walks into the police station and he describes this. The police are probably sitting there looking at him like, is this guy on drugs or is this shit really happening? And then he's probably like, no, seriously, come on, and I will show it to you. And then takes them out there. They walk in and they see this and they're like, what in the world? You know? And then they described it. And I can't tell. I got to zoom in. I want to see what that says above. It says the event is here. I zoomed in what it says above the bed. The event is here, which I would imagine was probably a part of when they had their live streams. Yeah, I don't see that as an event, but to them, that's what they believed. And you know, David touched on it. It's crazy to think that people actually out there want to reach out to this so-called higher supreme, and they listen to it and they get into their minds and they believe everything that they're saying. I mean, they are controlled by this so-called higher being, Mother God, and they're listening to everything that she's feeding them. And it's like, wow. But once again, put yourself in their shoes, and we laugh about it now, but and she said that she could cure cancer, which at that time, that was just unheard of at that time. And the fact that these people were probably just like, oh yeah, this is amazing, and now we got to wait for the Starship to get her, take her up to space. She's met Jesus Christ, and I mean, there's a lot. Prosecutors dropped all the charges. Those people that were, following her, they got lucky, because prosecutors were probably looking at this case going, where in the hell do we even begin? And what specifically do we charge her of? Because, autopsy showed that she died natural causes. So there's nothing you can really charge these people, because once again, it was not murder. They did not kill her. They were just watching her die, and what are you going to do? Because if they probably tried to stop her, I'm sure there was some sort of, effect that would happen. She probably would get pissed or something, or say that something was going to come get them and kill them. It's just, it's wild. So Hawaii, they said, forget this, get out of here. I could imagine there you are living, it's absolutely, I'm sure, beautiful out there. Ocean blue water, Hawaii, I'm sure it's got to be amazing. It's on my bucket list to go there one day. We'll see. Maybe if I get rich, but you've got this quiet place tourists like to come to, visit, and then you got this whole cult going on, and it was probably destroying everything there. Could you imagine going there to, visit, and you're like, all right, let's go Hawaii, and then you get there and then you find out about this going on, and I'd be like, all right, well, that was a great trip. Let's get the hell out of here. So 7 of them, arrested. They weren't charged. Obviously, prosecutors, like I stated, they couldn't find nothing to charge them with, and I really don't blame them. So they got away with it, and some of them tried to continue it on. Father God, they tried to continue it on with their whole 5D cult, and it did not work out well for them. Failed the first time with her in the 3D, and they tried to continue it, But don't worry, Mother God was controlling it from outer space. So, pretty wild. This was a really, really good case. Unsafe, thank you for bringing this case up, because this was something different that I wanted to do, and this one was a really, really good one. I want to dive in, on and off here, I want to dive into some more cult stuff eventually. I know there's a whole bunch of them out there, and figured I'd take a break this week from getting into the whole gory slashing and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, this is definitely, this one takes the cake for sure when it comes to the cults. Like I said, if you guys get a chance, check out Love Has Won. It's on HBO, and it is a wild story, and this just kind of, what I did just touches like the beginning surface, but documentary dives really deep into that a lot more. There's just so much stuff that I could dive into with this, but as I stated in the beginning, it'll be me for this week and next week, so sorry to disappoint anybody, That's okay, though. the show must go on. I keep the show rolling every week. I don't stop. Unless I'm, deathly ill for some odd, reason. But hell, I'd probably still sit here in the chair and do the show. But anyways, I do appreciate everybody listening into the show every single week. It means a lot. Audience is growing more. Numbers are growing more. Everything, TikTok, we went live on it last week. Christine Russo had us go live with her at the end of the show last week, and that was very cool. We gained a lot of new followers that way. We may try to go live more on TikTok. We had discussed it. We may end up doing that more. So I didn't do it tonight. I don't have access to get into that. The director of, social media, she does all that. So, do you know if she told them to take her body on a road trip, or did they just do it for their own? They did it, I believe, for their own. They did not, from what I read, and Unsafe, you can correct me if I'm wrong, because I know you know a lot more about this. I don't think they did it. I don't think that's what she wanted. Maybe, but she could have told them something along the lines before she started dying. They believed something, but I think it was because they had to wait for that whole Starship thing that they were saying to come get her. So I think that's why they carried her, and they wanted to take her back to like the beginning there, where everything kind of, started. But yeah, like I was saying, Unsafe, you correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they did it on their own. So, anyways, thank you guys again for, listening in. A little bit of a shorter one, like 50, 55 minutes tonight. That's all right. They thought someone was coming to get her. Okay, so she didn't essentially tell them to transport her. They did it because they thought somebody was actually coming to get her. Okay, that's what I thought, but I wanted to make sure. Thank you, Unsafe. But this one's wild. If you guys get time and you dive into it more, watch the whole documentary on it. There's a lot to talk about it when you watch that, and you'll watch it and you'll just kind of, if you thought what I touched on was just bizarre, you'll watch that and you'll be like, what? And then you see the twinkling lights and stuff, and it just, gets you. You're just like, oh my God, what in the world is going on here? Because you see it from our perspective and our view, and we're like, what? But yeah, so anyways, thank you guys for listening in tonight. I will try and get posted sometime during the week. Who I'll be covering next week, I already do know. A friend of mine and a fan of the show actually suggested the one I'm going to be covering next week, and he will be tuning in to the live too as well, him and his wife. So he's been wanting me to cover this one for a little while, so I'm going to be taking care of that case next week. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. Nice little more relaxed and laid back live tonight, and that's fine. So I hope everybody enjoys the rest of their weekend and has a great week next week. Other than that, I don't have Classroom Jackie to send you guys out tonight with her usual line. So yeah, until next week, I will see you guys then. Have a good night, everybody.